Opening up about my mental health. Uber danger.
Yo, what's up, YouTube? This video's been a long time coming. 10 years-ish. And it's not easy for me to make this video, but I feel that it's necessary. I want to start by saying I love all my viewers. I love you guys so much, and I wish I could have been there more over the years. I really do. And I know you've probably wondered many times, what's going on behind the scenes?
I do wonder, bro.
Are you okay?
Talk to me.
What are you doing with your life and what's happening? And I know I haven't really put myself out there much. In fact, less and less so. And today I'd like to open up about exactly why, for almost 10 years,
I feel like I remember the name of this YouTuber, maybe? Uber Danger. He's got 1.36 million subs. He hasn't posted in about a year. He's a league. Oh, maybe that's why I remember, because he's a league YouTuber.
The Red Sea like Moses, better watch out when the man approaches. Cocaine, noses, blade in hand, you notice. Worcestershire Sochi, man's allergic.
When did he supposedly become crazy?
9.5 years now, I have not been allowed to produce political content on YouTube.
Wait, what? Hold on, sorry. Wait, hold on.
About exactly why. For almost 10 years, about 9.5 years now, I have not been allowed to produce political content on YouTube. This followed the upload specifically of a video called Should You Play Zoe that I uploaded onto my channel in November. It will have been 10 years since I uploaded that video. In the video, I said something very heinous, something hateful. I said something extremely derogatory and hurtful towards Palestinians, and I said it in Hebrew. I basically said the word.
Hold on, wait. When this was linked to me in chat, I thought that he hadn't posted in a while because he was like crazy, and this is going to be a video about him coming back saying that he had to take a break because he was like having issues. But is this just, is he crazy now and this is a crazy video? Or is he crazy now?
Towards Palestinians, and I said it in Hebrew. I basically said the worst thing you can possibly say in the worst possible context it can be said. Ever since I uploaded the video, Should You Play Zoe, I got a restriction that I was not allowed to produce political content. It's a restriction that has been on my channel for almost 10 years now. On and off, some label would appear on my channel saying you're not allowed to produce political content. And
I don't even think this exists. I've never heard of this before my entire life. That YouTube can restrict you from doing certain types of content. I've never heard of this before, especially not 10 years ago.
Sometimes the label's not there anymore. I don't care if you show it as a label on my channel. If you're my community, my viewers, or anyone who's been following my content for years, you know damn well I've not been allowed to express myself. I'm allowed to be radical, abrasive, and offensive, but I'm not allowed to be political. Okay? When I was 16 years old, I was getting around 20 million views a month on my YouTube gaming channel on the internet.
I think this is the clip he is referencing. 4 years ago. Oh, maybe he said it 9 years ago and it was uploaded 4 years ago?
Increase Israel's GDP. Zoe's Q, Mavet la Palestinim ha-meloch lachim, is my new favorite skill shot in League, and honestly her only really high damage ability. She shoots a Star of David that collides with the first enemy hit, dealing damage in a small area. It can also hit the Palestinians, or minions, as Riot calls them. The further it travels, the more damage it does up to a cap, and that's
Okay.
Internet. So it's safe to say that I grew up with hundreds of millions of attention at a young age when I wasn't really ready for it. A lot of people have speculated over the years on whether Uber Danger was a character. Growing up, playing a character about half the time that I took that seriously, with hundreds of millions of attention a year, and it broke me, man. I lived with a trauma-induced personality split for 12 years. I'm not joking. John and Uber took turns piloting my body, and at its worst, I had maybe a couple of weeks of permeance at a time. And it took me 12 years to overcome the mental illness of having that personality split, and for the majority of those years, I wasn't aware of what was happening to me or that there was anything wrong with me. I never questioned the fact that I couldn't think back more than 3 weeks. Whenever people called me schizo or crazy, I just thought it was the funniest shit ever because I always felt like myself. I knew I was a normal guy. But since then, I was able to resolve it, to absolve the trauma states, merge both my personalities in perfect symbiosis and become a whole person again, regaining
Fuck, he's crazy. He's Holy shit. Oh no. This was like a I think I mentioned this on stream before. I was hanging out with somebody and like I feel like this was like 6 months ago or something, but we were watching a Vice thing about gang stalking. And then halfway through this little Vice thing, they go to like a support group for gang stalking. And I thought that it was like a support group where you go and everybody talks about like, I feel like I'm being gang stalked. Like, how do I deal with these feelings and everything? But that wasn't what it was for. It was a support group for people to share how they were all being gang stalked so that they could like come up with strategies and just talk about like the gang stalking that they actually endure. I was like, oh no, this is not where I thought this was going. I think it was a Vice thing or whatever.
Since then, I was able to resolve it, to absolve the trauma states, merge both my personalities in perfect symbiosis and become a whole person again. Regaining permanence for me was regaining my mind and my soul. It felt like becoming a whole human again, man. To be able to think and calculate and plan things across time. You're not just existing for a couple of weeks. You're a whole person. You get to remain the person you are. So that's the first thing I want to start off, is to let you guys know that it wasn't a joke. I for real had a trauma-induced personality split. And I don't anymore. You can consider this my super personality. Neither John nor Uber. Both combined in perfect symbiosis without the specific trauma that caused me to split. He's back, right?
Oh, we're back, baby.
And with me coming back, I just have to be honest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look, I've been controlled opposition to a coalition of world powers that systemically oppress all of humanity for around 10 years now. This is my opinion. I can't prove this in any way, shape, or form other than the fact that there was a linear correlation with me being restricted on YouTube and me having to follow a world narrative with everything I produce. I wasn't allowed to go against this world narrative, and I consider it to be one of the most harmful, most damaging things to all people. Back when I got restricted, back in... Dude, I'm just gonna check the PC. Let's do this one take, because I gotta go to work. Dude, I'm just gonna check the PC. Let's do this one take, because I gotta go to work. Come with me. I wish I could record this on my camera, but it just doesn't work after all these years, but I wrote it down. Let's see. Yeah, November 19th, 2017. That's when I released Should You Play Zoe. And ever since then was when I wasn't allowed to produce political content on YouTube or otherwise. And I know I sound crazy for saying that there's a shadow government that controls the entire world and systemically oppress all of humanity. I sound like a conspiracy
Nah, bro.
lunatic. Right?
Nah.
But if you stick with me and you hear what I have to say, I don't know. Maybe I won't sound so crazy by the end of it.
Okay.
That was how it started. And one thing I think is important to keep note is that up until somewhat recently, for all those years, I was financially and just at large dependent on my YouTube career to live a functional, worthy life. I've been owned by these companies for so many years. And for each year that I had to slug through it, I just became more and more. It felt so soulless to me, man. So soulless to me. Like, I loved it. When I was a teenager, I loved expressing myself and putting myself out there on social media. It's my favorite thing, was making people laugh and putting my soul and my personality into what I make. Original Uber Danger, what my idea for content was that it's extreme, it's abrasive, it's psycho. It's fucking radical, you know? That's one thing you're not allowed to be these days, is radical. But I decided that I needed to find a different job than YouTube and a different path in life so I could sustain myself to be able to speak my truth. And I've already done this. I now work with bartending and in social service, and that worked great for me. I love being a bartender. It's pretty fucking sick. I love it a lot. And I love working with people. Turns out after being alone in front of a computer.
You think they like listen to him at work and the customers are like, oh man, there's that Uber Danger being wacky, right? That guy's he's a goofball.
For all those years, it's kind of nice to work with people. Furthermore, I'm also doing an education, studying basically the Danger equivalent to my GCSEs. And I went back to school. I felt like it was important for me to get my head straight. And so I decided to get a job and do education. And it was actually through the process of doing education that I realized how fucked the world is and how I need to speak up about this. It's a funny story, really. Actually, it is pretty funny. Look, for all these years, I thought it was just me being limited on social media because of what I had said and what I had done. But ever since I regained my mind, ever since I regained permanence, ever since my personality split stopped and I became a functional person again, ever since my schizotypal symptoms were reduced so that they were negligible, that entire time I thought it was just me being limited. But now I see that the oppression is systemic. It's fucking everyone. No one has freedom of expression across mainstream social media, okay? A public narrative is owned by corporations. Social media, in my humble opinion, should be a utility, like your electricity or your water. Everyone should have free access to it. That exchange of information is the free world. And if you're not allowed to express yourself freely on mainstream social media, then we don't live in the free world. We live in a world that's repressed by tyrannical fascism. It's systematic oppression in broad daylight, if I'm being honest, right? And I've seen it from the inside too. When I regained my mind, I started playing a character as myself. I wanted to get enough information so that I could reliably give the free world a chance. So I could reliably pass on information that's actually worthwhile. And I'm not going to be a conspiracy nut about this, because I know how dangerous misinformation can be. And so I'm not going to tell you anything that I haven't been able to confirm beyond any measurement of doubt myself. What I know for sure is that I've not been allowed to produce political content for the last 10 years. Ever since I said one sentence in Hebrew in Galileo top lane. What I also know to be true.
Wait, Galileo top lane? He was playing Zoe. Uh-oh, we gotta lie.
I said one sentence in Hebrew in Galileo top lane. What I also know to be true is that this didn't happen to my channel when I uploaded, for example, the Jaeger bomber, where I used real Syria drone strikes to a trap remix of a nuclear nasheed, a holy nasheed song as a trap remix, dressing up as a terrorist suicide bomber for Comic-Con, yelling Allahu Akbar and this type of stuff. That just got demonetized and astroturfed. No restriction, no community guideline strike. It's just Islam. Lots to make fun of those guys. When I dressed up as a priest and promoted the concept of pedophilia and coming in a little boy's mouth for Comic-Con. It's funny, that video didn't even get demonetized. That was monetized. That was fine, that was funny. That's great. Yeah, make fun of Christianity, Islam. It's pretty jokes. When I was 20 years old, I said one sentence in Hebrew on my YouTube gaming channel. And I had to shut the fuck up for 10 years, okay? 10 fucking years I've had to shut the fuck up about this. And every fucking time I've gone against the companies that own me over the last 10 years, every single time, it's had proportional, linear, destructive elements coming towards my life. Whether it be in form of restrictions or otherwise. And so, for the majority of this time, I mobilized myself to dismantle the shadow government and did everything in my power to give the free world a chance at being reestablished. And to me, the free world is algorithmic freedom of expression for humanity. That's not owned by anybody. No one should own what you're allowed to say.
Sure, bro.
Which brings me back to my trauma-induced personality split.
Okay.
So, like I said, John and Uber took turns being me for a long time. And I found a way to cure my mind. For 12 years, I experimented on myself with everything under the sun I could get access to. I didn't know there was anything wrong with me mentally, but I have scoliosis, I have bone deformity, and I didn't want to live my whole life with bone deformity. So, with access to the deep web, I had access to pretty much a lot of compounds of different varieties, and I experimented on myself with everything under the sun that's not painkillers or hormonal, right? And although I never did find a cure for scoliosis, other than like a healthy lifestyle to somewhat manage the condition, I did really fix my mental health. After walking around feeling the same type of mentally ill for 10 fucking years, 12 years, sorry, I lapped my mind together. I have coherence now. I have silence in my head where there used to be noise. I can think. I have an inner monologue. I can picture things. My mind works again, right? And according to psychotherapy and modern science, something like a trauma-induced personality split is something that takes 12 years to cure, if it's even curable, if you can even resolve the different personality states and resolve the trauma. In a lot of cases, it's not fixable. And I'm going to be honest, living with a personality split is something I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy. I really mean that. I would not want my worst enemy to have a personality split. It's simply the difference
Guaranteed he went off his meds and feels less sedated now.
between a worthy life and suffering, in my humble opinion. For 12 years, I experimented on myself with Hawaiian baby woodrose seeds, specifically. I did cold water extractions on Hawaiian baby woodrose seeds bi-yearly. I did so under the assumption, or thought, I thought I was fixing my spine, right? Because I noticed a linear correlation with me taking the LSA extract and my spine improving. In retrospect, I believe that doing this helped my mind, which in turn allowed me to live in a pattern that helped my body and my spine and my bones. I don't know whether LSA could cure someone else's trauma-induced personality split, or whether psychedelically assisted psychotherapy is a very specific thing. It's, to be honest, the reason why I left YouTube was to study psychology and put myself in a position where I could try to apply my method, because I wanted to help other people cure their trauma-induced personality split. After all, 12 years of experimenting on myself in a specific way. It's a long time to be doing something without at least trying to share that knowledge with other people, especially considering that you were in the end successful in regaining your mind, becoming a whole person again. God damn, if that's not a beautiful thing. And so...
Who are you? Are you the Schizo Whisperer? What is this guy? I think he is on anxiolytic, and I don't know how to pronounce that word. ANXIO, anxiolytic meds, which probably calms him, but does not treat the psychotic symptoms themselves. Okay.
Like I said, I'm also kind of crazy.
Anti-anxiety. Oh, anti-anxiety. I see.
Opposition of a shadow government for 10 years.
Okay. Thank you for getting to this part. This is the important
Another thing I believe quite sternly is that trauma-induced personality splits are a load-bearing structure of how they're able to oppress humanity. I simply do not actually think that social media algorithms would have the grasp on humanity that they do if we were able to cure trauma-induced personality splits and similar dissociative disorders on a worldwide scale, right?
Okay.
And I see the science coming out all the time. Oh, we've learned how to cure AIDS. Oh, we fixed cancer. Oh, we fixed this. Oh, if we just changed 2 little molecules in LSD, now we can cure depression. Yeah, we're reading all these scientific articles about all these breakthroughs and how they're curing every illness on the planet. But if you go to the doctor, they can't help you with shit. And that's something to think about. So because I cured my trauma-induced personality split, I believe it's my right to tell my story to the world about how I did it. And so for the last period of my life, I've been trying to whistleblow the cure to trauma-induced personality splits. And for some reason, I haven't been able to. It's really weird. You know, I started by whistleblowing it to Arrowhead, a team of scientists and freedom fighters that believe in the free dissemination of information to humanity. And my articles got pulled down, saying, okay, well, maybe I'm just crazy, you know? But in case I'm not crazy, and there really is a shadow government that controls the entire world, I have already distributed this information to so many people that if you fucking killed me, you wouldn't be able to undo what I've done, right? And if I'm wrong, and you can cure trauma-induced personality splits, great, then I'm schizo. Another person's crazy and it's funny and the world keeps turning. But I'm making this video on the margin of a percentile chance that I'm right, and that I can cure trauma-induced personality splits, and it could change the world. That's my angle, right? So, after 12 years of experimenting on myself, I decided to write down how I do it. For the sake of science, one single time, as best as I could, write it down. I made sure to study psychology and clinical diagnosis and how to write down...
This is a good lead-in for our Dr. K video.
...clinical data, and I did my very best at articulating myself as well as I could, as accurately as I could, with the experiments I do, and showing the result that the treatment I do has on the human mind. And since no website is willing to publish my personal experience, I've decided to just publish it myself, because I can, right? So it's in the description. There's a Google Drive link to my personal, either the thesis for my life's work or a manifesto, depending on whether I'm right or wrong. And so if you've ever been wondering, what is this guy really doing when he's not making YouTube videos or streaming? Well, if I'm being honest with you, I had a trauma-induced personality split for 12 years that I feel blessed by God to have even been able to cure.
Okay, we're running to this again. Hold on, wait, real quick. Somebody found the Vice thing I've been talking about.
The same thing as you. Is it a delusion? Is it bizarre? Quite possibly not.
Wait, my brother started exhibiting schizo symptoms a few years ago, and it's really made me sympathize with people like this. Whenever I see these videos, they make me sad. Lots don't realize how disconnected these people are and the kind of help they need. This is one of the things that I said when it came to doing like psychedelics and shit is prior to me doing way too many mushrooms, I don't know if I would have ever said this out loud, but my feeling was that if I ever had like schizophrenia or whatever, I could probably figure out like, okay, like this guy's clearly not real. This guy's clearly real. Like, you know, like you can tell like who's interacting with who, right? That would have been like my assumption, because it's like, if you're not retarded, I mean, you should be able to piece it together, right? One thing that I never gave credit to, that I just never really thought about, because you don't really think about it, is there's a thing for you to see a thing, like your sense data to, you know, convey there's a sound there, there's a person there, but there is a deeper feeling of like, this feels real. And I don't know how to put that feeling into words, but you can't really fight against that. It's a strong feeling that you have, and those things power so much of your navigation through the world. And when that shit starts to get fucked with, it really doesn't, there's no way to like think yourself out of that thing. But it's hard to even have that perspective, I guess, unless you've unless you have some kind of psychosis or, you know, psychotic disorder, or you've done a lot of psychedelics, I guess. Yeah. Ugh, not good. I feel really bad for these people. It's weird too, because like when people think you're crazy, they think that it's like random shit. Like you're just like, oh, he's a fucking wacky person. But they're not. Oftentimes, I don't know if I'm over selecting for this just because I'm on the internet or whatever, but like when you listen to people like this, or schizophrenics who email me, they always sound like well above average IQ. Like these are decently complex sentences that he's putting together. He clearly has a grasp on some like higher educational terms or whatever. He's not just saying like random words and random shit. Like he has like an understanding of like relatively complex thoughts, but he's fucking crazy, right? And it's hard. And a lot of people would imagine like a schizophrenic is a guy who's just walking around mumbling random words, but they're not. Like they appear to be coherent. They appear to be lucid. And I mean, they kind of are, but there's something like fundamental that's like deeply wrong. And yeah, it's a very, very, very scary. It's a very scary world. Yeah. I've mentioned on stream a few times, one of the annoying things I feel about certain movies or TV shows, House does this a lot, is people are always like, you know, yeah, this guy is schizophrenic, but you just don't get him. Let me talk to him and I'll figure out what's really going on. And it's like, if only it were that easy, bro. Like you can't, this is never happening. You can't do that. It doesn't work that way. Like, it's not like they are, you know, it's not like when most people go up, you go up. And when some people go down, you know, you go down. But this guy, when he thinks up, he thinks down. And you just got to put the puzzle pieces together and you can figure it out. It's like the person has an unshakable feeling, a delusional feeling that can never be changed with any amount of external world pushing on him. And you can't change and it's just a horrible, 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 horrible thing. Whew, it is a horrible, terrible thing. Your place in this world is completely wholesale fabricated by your brain. That's it. Nothing outside of you matters. Literally nothing outside of you matters. It's whatever your brain is able to piece together. And when you start fucking with your brain's ability to piece stuff together, you completely lose your connection to the external world. You just can't do it. It's like cutting your Ethernet cable and trying to pretend like if you just push the right types of buttons or whatever, you can figure out, you know, what's on Google. You can't. It's gone. It's completely severed. It's incapable of doing it. It's not good. Bad feelings.
If everybody believes this stuff, how is it in any way insane?
Gang stalking support group. I remember watching this. Real quick, sorry.
People just would not believe the suffering that people in this community endure every single day.
I've lost just about all my friends. They're afraid to talk to me. They think it's very effective. They think I'm crazy.
My family doesn't know anything about it. I don't say a word to them. I don't know if my son knows, and I don't want anything to happen to him.
Really the most important thing that we can do for victims is to connect them with others who understand what they're experiencing. Because
all through this, I'm like, yeah, okay, this is good. This is a good thing. I understand. This is good. You should, right?
no one else will. And isolation is really a key weapon that these perpetrators use to bring a person down to the ground, basically.
Wait a second.
If you go to see a psychiatrist,
wait, what?
Let's say it's the first time you're meeting a psychiatrist, and you say, I'm under police surveillance, then the psychiatrist will write you off as suffering paranoid schizophrenia, and then he will give you medication. So we must assume that this is what American society believes, that all these government agencies, which normally watch over people, don't actually watch people at all. If anybody think that they are being watched by this government agency, then they must be crazy. It cannot possibly be true.
There really is no help at the moment officially to assist target individuals. They can't go to the police, they can't go to the FBI, they can't go to Congress. There is nowhere that they can go.
Hold on.
We are having to create the issue and also the solution.
Why isn't our nation listening? This could be them. I wouldn't be surprised if most of the nation is under mass mind control.
Given that the world is filled with groups of people operating.
This was crazy to me. I was like, hold on. I feel like this is not what I expected it to be. But it's a gang stalking support group where they just support each other through their delusions by encouraging them. Not good.
And after I regained...
True. Somebody said psychosis can have many causes. Schizophrenia is just one disorder that can lead to the symptom of psychosis. Yeah, there are multiple things that can cause psychosis. That is true. I say schizophrenia, but there could be other. I don't know if the average gang stalker has schizophrenia or if it's some other thing that's operating. Sure. Also, fuck, somebody mentioned that LUS guy would debate me. What's the name of the guy on Discord that I would have to contact? You knew it. Somebody said it earlier, but I didn't type the name.
In my mind, I found myself in this situation. The world seems to be technocratically oppressed, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. I don't at all, and I really am agnostic. That is to say, I have a realistic approach to calculating realistic contenders for baseline reality. I am not out there. I take everything I can measure and confirm beyond any measurement of doubt, and then I try to do a sincere calculation of what is actually baseline reality. And I don't believe that we live in the free world. I don't believe that the world is becoming more free. I believe it's going the other way. I believe that some of the sickest people in the world just spread child torture material to billions and try to make everyone focus on that. Whilst there are millions of people who are completely insane, who have lost their minds, who don't have permians. And I don't see that as some, oh, that was kind of shitty. I see that as a direct attack on humanity's soul. And I don't believe that holding these people accountable is nearly enough. I believe that a counterattack is utterly appropriate. And like I said, from my perspective, I believe that I functioned as controlled opposition to a shadow government for 10 years. Okay? If I'm wrong about that, great. I'm crazy. Dope. If I'm right, then I have to be honest here. I have to tell you the truth. I have to just fucking unload this shit on you guys, man. I remember what it was like when it started. I remember. It was like, I make content that's like as if I'm not being repressed by people and I'm free to speak my mind. Great, 1 million views, great. I make content that's offensive about, for example, China. Great, no problem, don't worry about it, that's fine. I'm not allowed to mention wars. I'm not allowed to mention the Middle East. I'm not allowed to be critical. I'm not allowed to be political.
What's your best understanding of how you bring something like this down to the ground? Jiu-jitsu. No, I'm just kidding. Do you just have to hope to God they take medication/therapy seriously, and if not, it's cooked? Yeah, they have to get on medication, but obviously it's hard because when they're adults, I feel like we need, in the United States, it's just really, really, really difficult to do, but I feel like we need to have some way to commit adults that it's more than just like Brady acting or fuck, what was the other one? 89, 81, 69, there's another term for it, 5150. I don't remember. But right now, basically, the only way you can have somebody forcibly committed to or to some kind of psychiatric ward is if they're either threatening to kill somebody or threatening to kill themselves. And if they're not doing either of those two things, then they're free to roam the streets. I think we need something a little bit stronger than that. But obviously, it's very, very, very difficult because you're basically, Baker Act. What did I say? Brady Act? Baker Act is what I'm thinking. I'm sorry. It's difficult because you're basically saying, what are we going to do in the United States to take away rights from adults? That's a really scary thing. We take away rights from children, and sometimes women and black people. Yeah, just kidding. But to take away rights from adults and say, sorry, like you don't have any more freedom. You have to go be in some psychiatric institution is a really scary thing. But like for a lot of homeless people, I say a lot, but for a much higher percentage of homeless people, the normal people who are housed, you have people who are just fucking crazy. If you've ever walked around where there are a lot of homeless people before, some of these people are just, they're fucking out of their mind. They shouldn't be on the streets. They should be in some kind of psychiatric ward. Yeah.
Right. And whilst it's a private corporation's right to do whatever they want, they don't need a reason to tell me I'm not allowed to be political on their website. They can just say that's their rule. I would like, as someone who has spent half my life on this website, to ask YouTube how they apply this policy. Because I've read through many, many pages. I've studied all of the terms of service to the fullest extent. And oddly enough, nowhere in your terms of service is this policy elaborated on. So I'm not here to say that I've been zealously stripped of my basic human rights. I'm here to ask, how do you apply this policy? Because there's only 3 possible constellations. It's either applied to the channel, to the person, or both. If it's applied to the channel, that is to say, my friend wouldn't be allowed to put a video on my channel where they were political, based on what I said 10 years ago. If it's applied to the person, that is to say, I couldn't make another YouTube channel and be political on your website, based on what I said. Or the most tyrannical constellation. It's both applied to the person and the channel. That's all I want to know in relation So the restriction on me, where I have not been allowed to produce political content, I want to know how the policy is applied. The terms of service on a website are the rules by which we, the users, play the game that you put out. I think it's fair to ask for elaboration on a rule that has been applied to me for 10 years, since I don't understand how it is applied, even in the first place. Whew, that's a lot, man. That's a lot. I have some other videos in the works. I decided to break up with the concept of not being allowed to be political because I do think it's a violation of my human right to express myself. I think everyone should be allowed to be political, even if they've said something stupid or hurtful, okay? But it's been over 15 minutes since I said it's actually a funny story. And this is a pretty loaded video, so let's get to the funny story.
Okay.
A funny story of how I ended up where I am right now. What happened is I went to school, and the first classes I had Danish, English, social studies, and psychology. And one day I was so bored in Danish class that I decided to write something in English as a protest against my dry, boring teacher in Danish. And I wrote.
What was that vacuum you really liked? You talked a lot about it. Fuck, I don't remember what it's called, but I use it. It's my baby vacuum. Some German brand, I think. It's God tier.
I wrote a rap called Head of State, and it was all the things I would do if I was head of state.
I don't think it's Miel. There was that one, and then there was one other brand that are considered like the two fucking Godstony brands. Fuck, I don't think it was. I'd have to go check. I'll check.
Then I had a realization. I realized that I could never upload this on social media. And then I thought to myself, why am I allowed to make something in school that I'm not allowed to post to social media? What's that all about? The more I looked into it and the more I thought about it, I thought, okay, so I don't have freedom of expression.
Oh, Sebo. S-E-B-O, I think is what it was.
Maybe someone else could get to say it. And the more I looked into it, the more I saw we really don't have freedom of expression on mainstream social media. It's not just me. There's algorithmic restrictions on all mainstream social media platforms. And they're owned by private entities who have their private interests. I don't know. I don't think that's right at all. That feels like a repression of the free world to the greatest extent. So that's why I decided to mobilize myself to dismantle the shadow government. I mean, after all, most people don't have my perspective. Most people haven't seen that world from the inside, and most people don't actually have a voice to speak out against these things. And most people don't have the knowledge required to know how you would even combat a shadow government.
True.
Right?
I wouldn't.
And please understand, I know I'm probably wrong. But I'm making this video on the margin of a percentile chance that I'm right. Because from my perspective, I believe that trauma-induced personality splits are a load-bearing structure of how the shadow government, that is to say a coalition of corporations, billionaires, private entities, and intelligence agencies and so on, are able to repress the free world. And that without trauma-induced personality splits and similar dissociative disorders.
Who the fuck is this guy? Well, he used to just be a league streamer / successful YouTuber. He's got 1.4 million subs. And I think he's developed some disease that he has that gives him psychosis. I should learn. Fuck. At some point, we should put this on the thing to learn all the psychotic illnesses. Bipolar 1, I think, when you're in manic phases, can induce psychosis. There are other illnesses too that can have where you can have thoughts that just aren't real. I don't know them all though. It's not just schizophrenia. I say schizophrenia a lot, but it's not just schizophrenia.
Being as present in society as they are, they would lose their grasp. And potentially it would lead to not just the dismantling of the shadow government, but also a dismantling.
Why are schizos always anti-establishment and government? I've never seen a schizo who does not talk ill of the government. That's a really, actually super fascinating question, in my opinion. I just haven't read into the research, and I just don't trust stuff that I've seen that like everybody says. But like I've seen it said on Reddit a lot. The thing that like psychologists studied people with schizophrenia, and they found that in the West, the voices that talk to you in your head are all negative, but in Eastern societies, they tend to be more positive. I don't know if that's true or not, but if it was true, that'd be really interesting. In my personal experience, it seems like people in the West that have schizophrenia always have like, there's always like a global conspiracy thing of everything that's coming together using biology or alien technology or shadow governments or whatever that are trying to suppress or do something to all of mankind. Maybe there's like some kind of logical reason for that, in that like, if you have certain delusions, these are the things that would logically follow because it's how it would explain how fucked your world is. So it kind of makes sense. Maybe not. I have no idea. I'm not sure.
Of the world narrative that's been applied upon all of humanity. humanity. Dismantling.
Keep in mind, though, that when you're thinking about trying to explain, when you're trying to think about like why does everybody have this thing, you got to be really careful about the survivorship bias, though, too, right? Because it might be that there are a ton of different ways that schizophrenics, kind of like break from reality, but in a lot of the ways that they break from reality, they just are on the streets because they're crazy, right? If they think that like walls are evil, I don't know if they ever think that, but like something like that, right? So you only ever see these ones, so it leads you to believe that all of them are like this when this might be like a minority of it. You have no idea,
The shadow government, but also a dismantling of the world narrative that's been applied upon all of humanity. Back in 2013, woke cancel culture successfully redistributed primary politics from the state levels to the hearts and minds of every person in the free world with access to the internet. And I believe that the narrative that's been applied upon all of humanity is a very, very desperate attempt to remain in power for the people that would otherwise be eaten by their slaves.
I've never heard a schizo admit so much that they could be wrong. Really? In emails I've gotten before, there was that one guy that I used to post who got arrested, the bald, the crazy looking dude. Not a lot, but some of his emails started like that, where it's like, I feel like I understand a lot of what I'm saying seems crazy, or a lot, like he would say these, and then right after that, he would just go into like some angelic crop circle shit. Like, so I don't know if it's normal for them to say that, but like I've had people who have contacted me who seem like they're understanding that what they're saying is like really crazy. Like they're not like I don't know how to explain this. They're not like completely incoherent, and they're not completely like not lucid. Like at least for some of the ones that I've spoken to, it seems like they understand that like I know what I'm saying is crazy. I know this sounds insane. And yeah, I worry, maybe I am losing my mind. But anyway, I think that you're the second coming of Christ, and I think that the UFOs are actually communicating this message just to me, and the government is trying to suppress it, and that's why I keep getting. And it's like, okay.
Should all of your attention really be going to whatever the new thing is? Or would you like to see people express themselves freely? That's my question. I think people should be able to express themselves freely, and I think I would enjoy the culture that emerges from freedom of expression infinitely more than whatever the latest attention grab is. That's how I feel, okay? And that's why I decided to share the research I've done on Hawaiian.
Didn't Rackful and Yellow Spoon Girl also become schizo out? Rackful? I don't think so ever. But for Bella, I don't know. It's a whole other thing.
Baby woodrose seeds and curing my trauma-induced personality split with the world in the description, and you can read my notes. And it feels like the right thing for me to do. Now, if I'm wrong, and the shadow government don't need trauma-induced personality splits to control the world, but I'm still right about the fact that I can cure.
Destiny, I think a really big issue for normal people is the fact that they can't wrap their heads around the idea that they are fighting their brain. You mentioned it earlier with the analogy of the Ethernet cable. The smarter you are, the more you fight your own brain with your logical side against the chemical imbalanced side. I don't have schizophrenia, but I notice it a lot with some aspects of autism, but mostly major depression. They will never understand what it means to genuinely, truly be fighting against an uphill battle. I understand what you're saying, but like fighting against your own brain is like the difference between like a person who is not self-aware might be able to fight that battle at like 6 or 7%, and a person who is very self-aware might be able to fight that battle at like 10%. But when your brain is fucked, you are fucked. Like you can't. There is no. I just don't know how to. I don't know how to put it into words. You can't. You just can't. Like everything starts off like the beginning of your thoughts are poisoned, and there is no thinking your way out or thinking your way through like insanity. It's just impossible. But
Trauma-induced personality splits in this way?
Without some kind of like medication or surgery or whatever.
That's perfectly fine. That would be amazing. That means that I haven't stepped on anyone's toes, and I can still help to cure people's trauma. If I'm wrong about me being able to cure trauma-induced personality splits, but they do need this mental illness to control the world, then we're fucked. Then we're fucked anyway.
And then Raynad, not Rackful. Oh, I think Raynad maybe. That's really sad too, though. I don't know where Raynad's at these days.
If I'm wrong about both, if there's no shadow government and I don't know how to cure trauma-induced personality splits, great. This is a way for me to find out. But I found it highly unethical to ever experiment on someone else in this state, because I've lived that way. I've felt what it's like to be in a trauma-induced personality split. And when you don't have permeance, you cannot consent to someone else rearranging your mind. I don't believe you can give consent to that. There's no way you could truly give informed consent to that. And furthermore, it did take me many years to become financially independent of YouTube and streaming, to a point where I knew I would have a worthy life in an ordinary world if they were to delete my channel for something I've said online. I needed independence of outcome before I could come out with all of this, right? But that's the thing. That's the thing I've been dealing with all these years. That's the thing that's truly been tearing away at my soul and making me more and more sad, is that I've had to keep up a facade, a funny, happy, lucky, gaming videos and good times and fun happiness, when really I've not been allowed to express myself. I've not been allowed to be political on the internet. And frankly speaking, I feel like by maintaining that world narrative that everything is fine and you're not speaking out against it, you're complicit. You're complicit in that repression of the free world. You're complicit in that repression of people. I believe everyone should be allowed to speak their truth, okay? Every single person on earth should be allowed to speak their truth. No one should get to decide what the truth is. That's what I'm saying, basically. But yeah.
Imagine if YouTube banned his account for this video. Jesus.
I think that was it. I just wanted to be honest about how I've been owned by corporations all these years, how I've broken up with them, and that's why I'm never doing a sponsorship again in my life. Why every video I post online, whether it be on my YouTube channel or on uberdanger.com or on Twitter, but I don't care if they delete my social media, I'll figure it out. Every video you get from me from here on out is going to be authentically myself and exactly what I want to say. No one gets to put words in my mouth. No one gets to own my viewers' attention. I want to sincerely be myself.
Do you think suicidal people are experiencing delusion, or is it something else? I don't know, bro. I have like personal theories on suicidality, but I'm not like study there. You're better off like reading stuff. Like, it feels to me like you have, some people can be suicidal because some exceptional event has happened that's like driving them to feel anguish. So like a huge event, like parents or significant other died or something crazy like that. Or somebody could have some kind of long-term, either mental or physical suffering, and they feel like their baseline is below survivable, so they just want to end their life. I'm sure there are other drivers to it, but
as I've wanted to be this entire time, and this is the reason I have not put myself out there the way I wanted to and the way I love doing. It's because I have not been allowed to produce political content, and the half truth is no truth at all. If I have to put myself out there halfway, as you guys can tell in every vlog I've ever made, there's been something that I haven't been able to say, and it's this. Is that when I said one sentence in Hebrew when I was 20 years old, and should you play Zoe, a sentence I should not have said, a hateful sentence, I had to shut the fuck up for 10 years. But you know what? It's a really bad thing to say, but people do it today. People think that's a real ideology that's being executed today. Fascistic tyranny exists in our world. So I wasn't allowed to say it back then. Okay. But people still do it today. Maybe it was the type of thing that was worth saying. Don't you think? In my next League of Legends video, I also was actually going to whistleblow the shadow government and basically break up with this me not being allowed to make political content. My next League video was probably going to be my last video I ever upload. But I decided to make this video instead because I don't think that people would take a song and a gaming video as seriously as a sincere message from the person making it. Because I'm not joking, and it's not a joke. It's not a joke at all. I had a personality split for 12 years. I was complicit in the systematic oppression of every single fucking one of you by not speaking up this entire time. And now I would like to help to contribute, even marginally, to reestablishing the free world and freedom of expression. And I think we should all be allowed to have algorithmic freedom of expression across mainstream social media, regardless of whether we seem crazy, regardless of whether we fit the narrative. I think that's every human's basic fucking right. And from being honest with you, not speaking up about this is the precise environment that has re-traumatized me over the years. Many times I've split into my two personalities and combined them again using the method that I've been using that worked for me. And I've basically split into multiple personalities and combined myself, 15, 20 times if that could do it. So I'm fairly certain that my method works. We knew already that psychedelically existed, psychotherapy works, but not to the degree that I've been able to heal my mind and my schizotypal symptoms as well.
Do you still not believe in DID? No, I don't believe in any of that.
I find it unethical, like I said, to experiment on someone else, but I believe in the freedom of information. I believe that every person should be allowed to have access to the information that might be helpful to them. And I believe in the free dissemination of information to humanity. So in the off chance that other people could also cure their trauma-induced personality splits with my method that I
9 minutes left.
used for 12 years before I applied myself to writing it down. I mean, I applied LSA to my own psyche for 12 years before I felt like I could articulate exactly how I felt like I could responsibly deliver this information to humanity. On the off chance that any of you guys could be helped by this information, I decided to share it with you. And I just want to say I'm 100% serious. I'm not joking or grifting. I really do believe myself to function as controlled opposition for 10 years to a narrative that's just baseline hurting all of humanity. Everyone needs to reset back to baseline reality. That's what the world needs. And to my viewers, look, if they delete my YouTube channel, I'll put my shit on Twitter. If they delete my Twitter, I'll put my shit on uberdanger.com. If they take my website down, I'll put it on Discord. If they delete my Discord, I'll go to all my artist friends and tell them to upload my shit when I make it. I will not be stopped, okay? My next
Listen, you promised us you would watch part 2 of Abba's X. Here it is. What? I watched some of it yesterday. I watched like 5 minutes. It seemed boring and stupid. Fuck that.
Video is my first real video in 10 years. And I'm gonna speak my fucking mind. I'm gonna be making my goddamn video. I'm gonna make it. It's gonna be a good video. And I just wanted to share with my viewers as well that I regained my mind. Because I have not opened up about my mental health to very many people in my life, and certainly not online. I've only opened up about this to basically my mother and my girlfriend. And close people in my life who have been near me have known, or at least been able to assume. And a lot of my viewers who have really studied my videos, my mannerisms, and my streams could also make a calculated guess about my mental health. But as a person who's been able to fix my psyche and my mental health, I feel like it's important to make this video where I show you all the person I am now. Without the psychosis.
Sorry.
Without the mania. You can tell by the dark circles under my eyes that I struggle with just a slight little bit of depression. But I do believe that being able to speak myself freely and have freedom of expression might help a little bit with that, you know? Yeah. Did I forget anything? Thanks for watching. And I hope they leave my YouTube channel long enough for me to be able to finish my League of Legends video. This is one hell of a fucking banger. It's the wildest video I've ever made. It's coming out with a song as well. The ending to the trilogy that is my discography. They're putting out a third song on Bossman Music worldwide. The absolute elevation of the label. It's gonna go crazy. It's gonna go fucking wild, guys, okay? Oh, man. I don't know where things are gonna go from here. Oh yeah, this is the thing I was gonna say. Shit, I forget everything. My bad, guys. My bad, G. Load me, honestly. Come here. I know I've said a lot. I know it's been a pretty hefty video already, but over the years, it has substantial consequences for me whenever I've decided to go against the companies that own me, and whenever I've decided to try to speak up publicly. It's never really worked out for me, to be honest. And around 2 years ago, I decided to just stop working with companies, stop working with sponsorships. I told my guy from Mythic, I was like, I can't do it anymore, man. I cannot do it. And I knew that the situation I'm in now, financially, would come after me eventually. On Monday, they're gonna come and take my car because I couldn't pay the debt of the money I owe. And so they're gonna come and get my car on Monday. And I should have just put the car in my girlfriend's name to avoid that, but I thought I could do an honest case because I have scoliosis that's quite debilitating, and I work in 3 different towns. I teach self-defense in a 4th town. I drive my mom, who's gotten like surgery, and I drive my grandma, who has dementia. And I need my education and the benefits from education and the money from my jobs to be able to pay my rent. But I won't have access to my jobs or my education without the car. And so now that's being taken from me. And I tried to do a whole case where I tried to explain to them how necessary this car is for me to be able to live my life. And I just see the end destination of just being riddled in debt. It just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And to me, there's one thing so much more important than keeping my car having money. It's the fact that this is happening to everybody. It's not specific to me at all. All of you guys suffer under exactly the same conditions as me. And it doesn't matter how much it's true that I have scoliosis that's quite debilitating, or that I need the car to be able to attend my jobs, or the fact that they wouldn't be able to get more than $3,000 for it on auction, and we just spent $2,000 that I had to loan to be able to get to the mechanic so it could even drive still. It doesn't matter that me and my mom spent 7 years paying that car off so we could have a humble, worthy, ordinary world. It doesn't matter at all. Under this capitalistic system, it's just, oh, you can't pay the money. You know how much they want? They want $15,000 before Monday. You know what she said to me on the phone? She said, oh, well, your back hurts? Yeah, that's really unfortunate, but since your car isn't registered as a special needs person car, we can't take that into our evaluation. I said, what about me working as a social care worker in this town that's a 30-minute drive away? She said, oh, well, that job is recent enough that it's not in our system, so we're not going to count that one. I said, well, what about the fact that I'm the primary caretaker of my mom and my grandma? She said, oh, well, they're not under 18, so that doesn't really count. I said, well, what about the fact that I need my education and it's in that town? She said, oh, you can just do an education in your own town. Yeah, you try going to education at Elbaslund. See what happens. And I was quite upset over them coming and taking my car, and I already have a solution, obviously. Fuck it. Don't donate to me a single dollar. They take the car, I just get my girlfriend to buy a cheap-ass car in her name, and I'll have a new car, okay? This isn't a fucking grift. Don't donate me a single dollar, I'm serious. I don't want your donations. I want your attention. I want you to think about the words I've said. I want you to think about the possibility that it's dead true, every single word, that there's not freedom of expression across mainstream social media, and that the world is becoming less and less free, and that humanity should stand up for their fucking rights. If I should put it into a couple words, I would say it's that. That's precisely the thing for me. The fact that in the main place, the primary arena where we interact with each other, that is to say mainstream social media, people are not allowed to freely express themselves. There's algorithmic limitations on how people express themselves. Human expression is now owned and monetized.
Not good,
Pisses
guys.
me off. I'm actually fucking enraged over this. Because, you gotta think, I did something, I grew up and I was really offensive and I was really abrasive and I was hurtful for attention on social media when I grew up. So for me personally, I actually don't think it was wrong for me to be limited for all these years necessarily. But seeing how this is applied to everyone, seeing how if you didn't do what I did, you're still put under the same limitations, and it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that 10 years ago. 10 years ago, you would have to do something heinous on social media for you to not have freedom of expression. And I just think that's wrong. I think that's dead wrong. And I think people should speak up against it. We should fucking demand that these companies do better. It can't be legal. There's no way it's legal. And if it is legal, then they should change the laws. Those are terrible laws if that's legal. What a shitty world. What a rotten, disgusting world we live in. Thanks for watching.
Do you think he actually has scoliosis, or is it probably self-diagnosed? No clue.